Now, your hosts, Vicki Hyman and Erin Medley.
Hey everyone, welcome to Remote Possibilities. I am Erin Medley alongside Vicki Hyman. Hi, Vicki.
Hi, alongside.
I know.
We're pushing it a little bit.
I mean, at least today we're nearby because normally I'm in New York and you're in New Jersey.
And now you're in beautiful Sayreville?
I'm in beautiful Sayreville. Don't give away my address. And you're in Woodbridge. So really, we're only 10 minutes away from one another.
Yes.
A lot closer than usual. This is hopefully your favorite podcast that you're listening to. So you should be following us on Twitter at Remote Podcast, at E_meds, and at Vicki High, VICKIHY. Vicki and I have been tweeting up a storm this week for many reasons. But usually it's The Bachelor.
It's The Bachelor. Last night was a little bit of the challenge until I gave up with a Hyman out.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but we'll get to that.
Who do you think you are, Ryan Seacrest?
Yes, I do. That's who I think I am.
We will get to that. But before we do, let's talk about the Super Bowl, the big game, the Super Bowl 51 aired on Sunday night with the Patriots beating the Falcons in like the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. And I know
apparently.
I know. I was going to say, I know nothing about football, so anything I say about the actual game is just being regurgitated from something I heard someone else say.
I ran up in the elevator with Steve Politti, our prime sports guy, and I was like, so that was an exciting game? And he's like, well, not the first half. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, sure. But here's the thing. I always say that I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl, which I really don't. But I always watch like the last 10 minutes or like 5 minutes because I want to see the team win. But once they went into overtime, I was like, oh no, that was a Medley out situation where I was like, forget it.
I just watched the last 10 minutes so I can inform my husband, who does not follow these things, so he can talk to the people he works with and sound like an intelligent human being.
Wow.
That's it.
We're all playing the game. But the one thing we all watch are the commercials, which most of them you can see before the game, and the halftime show. So let's talk about a couple of the TV trailers that were released during the Super Bowl.
I think the most exciting one was the Stranger Things, which nobody was really expecting, I don't think. Stranger Things 2.
So,
What?
I feel like we knew it was coming. And it may have been like an EW thing where they knew it was, they had like some embargoed information or like they had an exclusive and they published something like before the Super Bowl aired. So I had a feeling it was coming. Like it wasn't really a surprise for me.
Well, I wasn't expecting it. I was very excited by it, especially that actually I have to admit that I was toggling between the Super Bowl and watching the Lady Ghostbusters movie, which I hadn't seen in the theaters. And then saw Dustin wearing the Ghostbusters outfit. I was like,
yes.
Oh, the synergy. I was really excited by it. And like the commercials that, of course, I remember because I am the age that these kids were at. During Stranger Things. So I'm really feeling it. And it seems like, the stakes are a little bit higher this time because you got some huge spider monster cloud in the sky. I don't know what's going on, but I am excited.
Yeah, the trailer didn't reveal much. Like it's still creepy. The kids are still there. 11 is still around. The police captain or whatever he was is still there. And that's about it. Like it didn't reveal many things. You do see the spider-like monster in the cloud in the red sky. But otherwise, it was enough to tease you and like whet your appetite and get you excited, but it didn't give anything away.
And that great music. I mean, it's really all I need.
I like how it opened with the Eggo commercial.
Yes. And by the way, that did look like a young Amy Schumer, even though that would not work, age-wise. But I was like, oh my God, I totally remember that commercial.
Yes, yeah. I also remember that commercial. All right, so Stranger Things. What else did they show? They showed a clip from Genius. I think they aired that right after the Gaga performance because in it, Jeffrey Rush as Einstein was playing Bad Romance by Gaga on like a violin or something.
Yeah, it's actually going to be interesting. It's a National Geographic's first scripted series. It's going to be an anthology where it's one genius a season, and this season it's sort of like a I think part of it is like a young, impassioned Albert Einstein. It looks actually pretty good, I have to say. Jeffrey Rush, wonderful actor. Physically will do a pretty good job. I can't imagine I don't think he's playing him as a young man, obviously.
Right.
But it looks interesting. So go Nat Geo.
You know what? I was thinking about it yesterday. There are so many movie actors
Mhm.
making the switch, not just to streaming, because that makes sense, but to like regular cable and broadcast television.
Basic
And
cable, yeah. Well, I mean, they've been doing broadcast TV for a while, dipping their toe in, but
yeah,
I think you're right that like this is basic cable people, you
right.
know.
It's freaking National Geographic, and like, no offense, but who's watching Nat Geo?
Yeah.
It's crazy though. And soon Big Little Lies will premiere on
Yeah.
HBO, and that
Reese and
stars,
Nicole Kidman and
yeah, and Shailene Woodley. It's and Laura, that's Laura Dern, right?
yes, it's Laura Dern.
Okay, and Laura Dern, and so it's just crazy how all of these movie actors are going to TV, where when TV is like sort of looked down upon, or it used to be looked
Used
down
to be.
upon.
Well, I think it's interesting because, we've all been talking about peak TV for a long time, and that came up during the TCA, like, when is it actually going to be the peak of peak TV? And I think the guy from FX, who really tracks this stuff, was saying it looks like it might be coming this year or next year. And I think Nat Geo doing its first series is like, well, let's spend a lot of money on the series, Jeffrey Rush, and let's see if it pans out. And if it doesn't, well, maybe they won't be doing this again, and we start seeing peak TV go away a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, I can't watch any more TV. Like, it's too much. Too much. All right. So the other important thing that happened at the Super Bowl was the halftime show with Lady Gaga. Just a quick feedback. What did you think? Did you like it? Go.
I thought that she was great. I thought it was a wonderful performance, sang live, had so much energy. My knees were hurting me so bad. And I actually have to quibble with like the immediate aftermath of the show. A lot of people were talking about, oh, it wasn't political and she had this opportunity. She had this platform. And I think like with Lady Gaga, her music is the message. I mean, she's singing Born This Way, which is, and like, she's always been like the queen of the freaks and the outcasts. And I think just her being there and letting her music speak for herself is probably the smartest thing that she could do, because the second if she would have made some sort of like, took off her shirt, screw you, Donald Trump, or whatever she would have done, would have immediately turned off everybody. And that's all the story would have been. But I think letting her music speak and maybe winning some new fans was probably the smartest thing she could do. And I did like that opening where she sang, among other things, "This Land Is Your Land," which actually was, of course, a protest song. So I'm all on board with what Lady Gaga did. I have no issues with it at all. I think it was a really smart way to do it. Erin.
Yes, I loved the Gaga performance. I mean, Gaga doesn't disappoint, so that was expected. The songs she chose were great. I don't think, like you said, she didn't make like an overt political statement, but the songs spoke for themselves when she said, whether you're black, white, or gay, trans, bi, blah, 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 and Born This Way. I can't remember a lot of words. She said them very clearly. And, I think that sent a strong message. And I really loved when she gave the shout out to her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was awesome. And then at the end, when she jumped off the bleachers and caught the ball, I just thought the whole thing, I thought it was good. I really enjoy halftime shows. I like them for the spectacle, but I thought she really like put on a performance, and that's what we're looking for.
She was working out there. And I also appreciate the fact it was just her. It wasn't a lot of like, people popping in and out. it was great. I think a quintessential Super Bowl performance.
Yes, agreed. All right, so moving on from Gaga and TV teasers to a very important subject dear to our hearts.
Very serious.
So serious, because when you're talking about looking for love, Vicki,
I just don't know, Erin. I don't know.
Will our Bachelor Nick ever find love? Like, he feels so unwanted.
Oh my God. I'm really concerned he's going to walk off the show next week, and then that's going to be it for The Bachelor, right? Okay. That's going to happen, right?
If he walks off the show, that would be amazing. I will say that it is not unprecedented for a Bachelor not to pick a person, like not to pick a fiance at the end.
Oh, really? How often does that happen?
Yes. It doesn't happen.
No, I do not watch this show.
It doesn't happen often, but I think it was Brad Womack, he didn't pick either woman.
Ouch.
And I think there is the potential, like the possibility for that to happen. Now, we're not going to go into like a whole big Bachelor recap, but I will say, and then give me your thoughts. There were a lot of tears this week from both the Bachelorettes and the Bachelor. It made me a little uncomfortable. There was too much emotion. And, you know, we saw some of our favorites go home, including Alexis, the aspiring dolphin trainer from Secaucus, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's too bad. She was
That was
awesome.
too bad.
And you know, like, he really liked her. Like, I mean, like, he didn't love her, but, like, I didn't get the impression with a lot of other women that he, like, actually likes these women.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was in the friend zone with Alexis for sure. Or I guess she was in the friend zone.
Yeah.
But if you, and I know you didn't, but if you'd watched the last season of Bachelor in Paradise, you would know that Nick is just a really good friend to women. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's really good around women. He's the kind of guy that you want to be your BFF. And so I'm not surprised that he genuinely likes some of these women, even if it's not in a romantic way.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't surprise me at all. But also this week, in addition to the women going home, there were two women who seemed to appear out of nowhere. Whitney, who the hell's that?
I don't know who Whitney is. Who's Whitney? Who's Whitney?
Also,
honestly.
She also looks very similar to Vanessa.
Okay.
Right?
There two Vanessas? Are there two Vanessas?
No, there are two Danielles.
I'm sorry. I don't know if they're not Corinne, and they're not the Dolphin Girl, and they're not Rachel. And Jasmine, actually. The two black characters. I call them characters. The two black women.
Can we talk about, let's just spend a second here on poor Jasmine.
Who, I have to say, Erin called out as being quiet crazy.
I did.
And sure enough, I mean, how often does it happen that a Bachelor contestant basically threatens to choke out the Bachelor? Does that happen often?
Choke him
out. Give him a chokey. I love that. I'm determined to work that into conversations.
Please don't. I mean, so she's feeling a little down because she didn't have a one-on-one. They go on this, but as an aside, I don't know if The Bachelor has ever made any island look as boring as St. Thomas. Like, there is nothing to do there except sit on the beach or play volleyball on the beach, which apparently none of these women wanted to do. So they go on this group date, and Jasmine's really annoyed that she hasn't received a one-on-one. And so instead of doing what most women do, which is just fade into the background or like quietly throw a temper tantrum, or like they do it in their confessional, she gets plastered and goes up to Nick and decides to spill her feelings, while at the same time, it wasn't a threat to choke him. I mean, it came across as a threat, but like she was like, it was some weird like sexual advance.
Was it a weird sexual? I didn't get that at all. I did not get that at all.
Yes, it was
all
sexual
I got
advance.
Was the aggression.
No, she was saying like, oh, you've never had anyone, you know, say they were going to give you a chokey. Like it was like she was trying to be Corinne in like the most psychotic way possible.
Just saying a lot.
Which is saying a lot. So Jasmine, needless to say, got the boot because no one wants a chokey in like who
around their neck at least.
This show has become NC-17. No one wants a chokey when when the other person, like as Nick, he was not, you could tell he was not into her at all. Mm-hmm. And she's coming to him and crying about how she wants to spend more time with him. And, you know, she feels like he doesn't like her, which no guy wants to hear that crap. And then she offers to choke him. I was just like, was it
an offer? Was it really an offer? I guess it was an offer.
It was. She put her hand out toward his neck. Like she gestured as though she was ready to do it right then and there. And I was just like, what, girlfriend? You have lost your mind.
Yeah.
But I did call that from date 2 when they went on that date with the wedding dresses. Actually, I think I called it week 1 based on the previews for week 2 that Jasmine was a quiet crazy.
She was. I don't know to tell you.
Oh boy. Any other thoughts on The Bachelor? What about your girl Corinne?
My girl Corinne, she was actually kind of quiet this week, right? And not much going on with her.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a little
There was a little
of,
drama at the beginning when Taylor came back,
I
and did she
mean,
bully me? Whatever, but
who
yeah,
Taylor, look, Taylor, all Taylor showed was that she doesn't have the emotional maturity or
intelligence.
intelligence, thank you, to make it in this competition with that little showing.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we're down to the final 8?
Six, I think.
6. You're right,
Six. And
6.
this, of course, is the first time a black contestant has made it this far, correct?
Oh my gosh. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, she's going to be in the final 4, you think?
I mean,
Yeah.
there are going to be multiple black people of all ages and genders on The Bachelor at the same time. Or they're just going to show her father. And then we get.
Yes, sir.
I guess we'll see. We'll see. Still, I love Rachel. She's my favorite. If she's not the winner at the end of this, winner in quotes, she better be the next Bachelorette.
Is the home visits for the final 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then usually there's a visit to his hometown, but they already went to his hometown.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So,
Keisha.
yes, I don't think that's going to happen again.
I'm sorry, can I go back to last week's episode for 1 second?
Yes.
I'm very sorry, but why were they having the rose ceremony in sub-zero weathers in an open barn where they all had to wear those jackets? You could see like the icicles coming out of their mouth. What was up with that? They couldn't have done it inside?
I
Did you
don't
notice
know.
that? Okay.
No, I didn't notice.
Oh my God, yes. Sorry, you could see their breath in the air. It was totally bizarre. Go on. Moving on.
So moving on. Let's talk about a show that is returning for its 6th and final season, and that would be Girls.
On Sunday, HBO.
On Sunday on HBO.
Did you watch all 3 episodes that HBO gave us?
I watched 2.
Oh my God. The third one is amazing.
Oh,
amazing. And stars your favorite Matthew Rhys from The Americans.
Oh, does it?
Yes, and it is amazing. I'm sorry. Okay, just so you know, coming to Girls, I hated it at first, absolutely hated it, but kept watching it, hate watching it. At some point, I think it was the 5th season, I ended up just going to the other side and loving it because, and it just continues this season because the characters switch from these like grotesque, monstrous caricatures to having like recognizably human feelings. And I'm sorry, no, I really do feel this way. You really need that in a show. It's like, I don't know how people live with it for so long other than hate watching it. I mean, like, you know, you watch Tony Soprano, who is obviously much more of a monster than Hannah Horvath is, but at least Tony Soprano was having human feelings that you could relate to. And she was just so, everybody was so awful for so long.
I agree.
And now I love it.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, look, let's not go crazy here. So I watched the premiere, which you know why I love the premiere.
It had Riz Ahmed in it.
Oh, my God. I mean...
And Rouge won.
And I'm not going to spoil... I mean, it's very hard to spoil Girls. It's not, you know. But I'm not going to say what happens in the episode all the way through. But there is a point where he and Hannah, his character and Hannah hook up. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So my thoughts in seeing that, and you know where I'm going. My first thought was, well, if Hannah has a chance...
Hannah also hooked up with Patrick Wilson in like the 3rd season.
Oh my God.
Okay,
yes.
hello.
Wait, was that? I think that may have been season 4, but no,
whatever.
But yeah, where they were in the apartment and
yes, okay, the absolute beautifully godlike Patrick Wilson. But okay.
So this is where the problem comes in. So many feelings about Girls. Season 1 of Girls hated all the girls, loved all the guys. Season 2 of Girls hated all the girls. Was sad most of the guys weren't there, or the one guy who was really hot. And then after that, season 3 was kind of not great, and season 4 was meh. And then season 5 I thought was wonderful. I loved it. I thought all the girls were growing. I really enjoyed that one episode with
Shoshan in Japan.
No, I mean that was good too.
One.
I like the one with Marnie and the ex from season 1.
Oh, Charlie, who's a heroin addict now.
Oh my God, I love Charlie. I really enjoyed that episode. I thought it was going well. I did not like Jessa hooking up with Adam. That I just can't get behind. I'm still not behind it. And I
Because
thought
they wouldn't really, or because of what she did to, or because of what she did to Hannah, or what they did to Hannah,
what
or
they did to
because,
Hannah.
okay, no, I got behind that completely
I'm
because they are incredibly selfish people.
Well, they are, but I just don't think that's real.
And
I
I do
don't
think they
think.
actually fit well together.
No, I agree, but I don't think it's realistic in the show that, and this is, we'll get to my point about season 6. In a show that, I think Lena Dunham tries to make seem like this is, this is how 20 somethings behave, and, millennials, and this is their true life experiences. I do not think in real life, in any situation, a woman who hooks up with her best friend's ex-boyfriend would then remain in the life of said best friend. Like, they're not going to be friends. They're not going to
But
speak to one another. It's
I don't
not.
think they are. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, but there was that whole back and forth. Like, I think we know at the end of the day they're going to come together and they will be friends again. Like, that relationship
But we
is
haven't seen
completely
that
over.
yet. We haven't
We
seen
haven't
it yet.
seen it yet, but I don't know. I just have a feeling because there was so much dialogue about it last season, and then they decided that they weren't, and it was just like, no one's going to go through that. You're not going to be friends. Period. Point blank. Done. Like, you're either not going to do it, like you're not going to hook up with your best friend's ex-boyfriend, or you're not going to have a best friend. Like, there's one or the other.
Well, I agree, and I don't think that we're necessarily going to get the coming back together in the end that you expect. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I did find that, especially Jess's character, who seems to be I mean, they're all incredibly selfish, but I have no issues at all with what Jess's character and what Adam Driver did and what Adam's character did. And I feel like they are in a very true place. And you see it, I think, in the second episode when you have Shoshana very bothered by what happened. I think it still feels very true, but part of it is also that she's also satirizing millennials and everything. So there's
Okay.
an element of disbelief.
So that's where I was going to get to with season 6, especially with the premiere. I feel like the season 6 premiere definitely satirizes millennials and 20 somethings, and it's like they're in on the joke. But I completely disagree that is the intention that they went through the first 5 seasons with, or should I say Lena Dunham. I do not think that they were satirizing that experience.
I actually agree. I think it
Okay.
changed. I think it changed
Yes.
over time. I think like they
Yes.
started off in one place, and then I think it did get to a point where they were doing more satire, but I don't think it really started. Yeah, maybe a little early, but I don't think it started off like that. But I think that they were heading there, and now what I feel like the satire is a little bit off them and onto other people, which makes it easier to take. Like, do you remember in the second episode, you see, nobody has seen this yet, but you will see Shoshana has a run-in with some friends, and the friends are like basically these awful, terrible monsters that it's fine you want to satirize people and see how real people react to them. But like when the actual main characters are so awful, it's just hard to like have any investment in the show whatsoever. It's fine when you play off them, but when they're the main characters, I just such a hard time dealing with it.
Correct.
So I think they're doing now.
No, I agree. And I think it works for them, and I think it makes it great. However, in the season premiere, when Lena Dunham's character, Hannah, hooks up with Riz Ahmed, who's so hot, let's be realistic here. As an aside, that ish is not happening in real life.
No.
Like, that's it. I think at this point, it's just Lena Dunham being like, all right, what hot guy can I hook up with? And I think that if you were to ask her about it, and this is me projecting, but if you were to ask her about it, she'd be like, well, I'm just showing that, women of any body size should be comfortable. And when they exude that comfort, they attract. No, it's not. That's not how it happens in real life. I'm sorry. It's just not the case.
I think there's some deep-seated issues going on. I agree. I'm not gonna like massively fault the show for this. I'm just kind of going along with it. But I do think that is what Lena Dunham would say.
Yeah, of course. And then that part of her is why I dislike the girls so much. But I think that you're right. Over time, they realized that in order to make these people more likable, they had to sort of like be in on the joke. Mm-hmm. And now they're in on the joke. And I will say, for all of my negative comments, I really enjoyed the premiere. Not so much the second episode, but it was fine. But the premiere was really good.
And the third is great, and we'll probably have to talk about it because it's like, many, many layers of things going on there. And it's like one of those, it's like the Patrick Wilson episode, I think. I could be wrong, but it's like just one of those self-contained, I think they call them bottle episodes, where it's just, her and Matthew Rhys. And it's great.
Okay, well, we'll definitely talk about that. We'll talk about Girls the whole season. I mean, it's last season.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Legion, which is a new FX Marvel superhero show. Is it Marvel or DC?
It's Marvel because it's X-Men adjacent.
Oh, okay. So tell us a little bit about Legion because I'm not familiar.
Okay, well, first of all, the thing that TV fans need to know is that it comes from Noah Hawley, who's the guy who has created the Fargo anthology, which I think is the best television it's the best show on television, although it wasn't on last year, so I couldn't add it to my list, but it's coming back this year. And he has taken like the superhero genre and just sort of like made it kind of like an art house TV series where it's very cerebral. It's not like, shock and awe and things being blown up, although things do sort of get blown up. Legion is actually a guy named David Haller, who has been diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. Things happen around him. He has hallucinations. He's not sure what's real and what's not. And he's basically in a mental institution, very much sedated when another patient comes in named Sid Barrett, whom can't be touched, but whom he falls in love with. She falls in love with him. And then basically in the very first episode, there's government agency that's sort of after David. He manages to break out. And then it's all about figuring out what of David's powers does David have. Like, David has mutant powers. It's very obvious, but he has to believe that because he thinks it's just been hallucinations and mental illness all the time. And so he's working with a group of people, sort of like Professor Xavier and his other, it's like a proto Professor Xavier School for the Gifted. He's in this sort of school. I don't exactly know an institution where they're trying to help him understand his powers. The government agency is still after him, but the visual effects are absolutely amazing, and it's very twisty, and it has a lot to do with memory and perception and identity, and Noah Hawley just sort of like shakes it all up. And the viewer, I have a review that's going up today, which I basically say all of these things on NJ.com /entertainment/TV, where the viewer is basically in David Haller's footsteps in his own body, because you're not sure what's going on. You're not sure what's a memory, what's really happened. He can project himself into other situations. So it's confusing, but in like the best way possible. It's so good. You should watch it.
So that's coming on Wednesday evening?
Wednesday evening tonight.
Oh, tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
So all right, I'll check it out. Look, I personally love the X-Men.
X-Men they're absolutely my favorite too.
And I've liked all of the Marvel series except for what was the first one on Netflix that I didn't watch?
Oh my God. Not the Punisher. Oh, this is so embarrassing.
The blind guy.
The blind guy. Oh my God.
This is terrible. We can't remember.
We were both blanking.
That's because there are too many TV shows. But you guys,
Daredevil.
Yes, Daredevil. I didn't watch Daredevil. I think I watched like the pilot, but I didn't watch anything after that. But I love Jessica Jones and Luke Cage was fine. And so I will definitely check out Legion. That means I will have to figure out what channel FX is on my TV. Because
it should be on your TV, because FX is producing the best shows.
Unless it's the Americans, I'm sort of like, I don't know what channel that is. But yeah, so I'll definitely check it out tonight, and everyone else should as well. And of course, tweet your thoughts to Vicki at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY. Another show you want us to talk about, Vicki, is The Missing. Very briefly,
I just want to put it out there because I don't think a lot of people are aware of it. It's I think it's actually a British show that Starz has brought over. The first season was in 2015, and it is it's an anthology series pretty much, although there's one character that jumps from the first season to the second season, and it's about missing children, people who disappear. And the hook of the show is that it's told in two different timelines. So you have the timeline where in the first season where a child disappears and there's the investigation, and then it's several years later where there's a clue as to what happened to the child and what's happening with that investigation. What I thought was so brilliant is that you have these two timelines that are both working. One's working forward, one's working backward to find out what happened in the center. So there's a hole in the middle, and it's got so much propulsion. You're both leading up to something. And in the second season, I'm not quite as hooked as I was for the first season there there's actually more than two timelines, so it's a little confusing, and it has to do with a British soldier and his wife are stationed in Germany, and their teenage daughter goes missing. And then the very, very beginning of the first episode, she comes back. And then it moves forward a couple of years into the fallout of her coming back. She was also she was apparently kidnapped and kept underground with another girl. And so the detective from the first season who investigated that other girl's disappearance comes back to sort of investigate it. Actually, it takes you to Iraq. I mean, you're in France at one point. It's a little confusing, but I watched the first two episodes and I'm still hooked. I mean, really wonderful performance, very emotional show. And while it does feel like they felt like they had to up the stakes a little bit, I think it's going to be a really excellent binge watch. So people should check that out. Stars, I think it premieres this weekend, I believe. But then if you have the Stars app or Stars on demand, you can actually watch the entire season at once.
I can't get another cable channel, another premium cable channel. I'm already paying for HBO and I'm not watching a gosh darn thing on it.
It comes with my HBO package.
Oh, does it?
It
does.
Am
I being cheated?
I don't know.
Do I need to reach out to DirecTV and be like, hello? Why am I not getting Stars?
Yeah, I mean, I would normally pay for Stars because it's got like Outlander, it's got some good shows on it, but it actually happened to come along with my HBO.
Ugh, whatever. I'm being cheated. Okay. So that was Vicki's plug. Now here's my plug, because Vicki goes high, I go low. She's like Michelle Obama.
I am the Michelle Obama of TV podcasting, which makes you the.
We're not even going to go there. So yesterday, Tuesday night, the umpteenth season of The Challenge premiered. I don't remember the name. I think it's something like The Challenge Invasion of the Champions. I actually just found it. That. Where they have 18 players who have never won the game, and there's some sort of twist where they're competing against 8 champions, including CT, Cara Maria,
names that mean absolutely nothing to me.
Zach. Yes, names that mean nothing to Vicki. I made Vicki watch the premiere, and I will say, while Vicki only got through the first 45 minutes.
No, I actually watched the first hour and 10 minutes.
Okay. Then you've seen more than I have, and I
hate you. First of all, she didn't tell me that it was. She's like, "Oh, could you watch this?" I'm like, "Okay, fine." It was 2 hours.
But that's part of the reason why you didn't find it. Well, 2 reasons why you didn't find it entertaining. One is it was 2 hours, which should not have been 2 hours, because there was a lot of setup. There was like 40 minutes of setup that you would, and here's the second reason why you didn't enjoy it, that you would only find enjoyable if you knew who the people were, which you didn't, because you don't watch The Challenge or The Real World, or Are You the One, which is where they're pulling people from now. And so that for you wasn't interesting, because you have to kind of know the backstories of these people to get into it, which is why I love the show.
I just find it amazing that there's an entire ecosystem of reality show stars that are I guess are famous, but I have no idea.
No, but they're not. No, let's be clear. They are not famous. There are only a few people from The Challenge whose names are recognizable outside of The Challenge. That would be CT and Johnny Bananas. Those two are probably the biggest names, and everyone else, they're only famous within the MTV universe. Johnny Bananas, for example, was on Watch What Happens Live as the bartender earlier.
That's
on Monday or something. No, it's not his claim to fame, but they wouldn't do that for any other contestant who's been on the show. I think Cara Maria was there too, but that was she just seemed to show up. But No, it's you have to be part of this universe, this ecosystem to understand these people. And part of the humor in it is that they do think they're famous, but like they're totally not, which is why they have to keep going on this show to win money. And they're so upset when they don't win because this is like their livelihood.
You know, I'm sorry, I was explaining this to my son because he wanders into the living room while I'm watching these horrible shows. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I explained to him that like being a reality show star is actually a career now.
Oh,
That, you know,
yeah.
there are people who go he's fascinated by me watching The Bachelor because he thinks it's insane. And I'm like,
Hmm.
"No, you don't understand. They're there because this is sort of like their job because if they do well, they get to be the Bachelorette and then they get to have people give them stuff and they'll promote it and they make money off that." He was like, "Wow, really?" I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
"Uh-huh,
Tell Theo to stay in school,
I will."
please. We don't need him to be a reality TV star. It's okay. You can also tell him that people make tons of money hosting podcasts. Those people aren't us,
Yes.
but there are people out there who make money doing this. Not us though. So that being said, if you guys want to start a GoFundMe for Vicki and Erin, we'll totally take it. But we will instead take you following us on Twitter at Remote Podcast, at E_meds, and at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY. That is going to do it for this week. We will be back next week where we will let you guys know, because I know you're not watching, what happens on The Bachelor. Will Nick stay around? Is he going to jump ship? Who knows? We will also talk about some other shows. We'll catch you up on Riverdale if you haven't been watching that. We're almost 3 weeks in at this point, so you should get on board. Definitely watch Legion tonight, and let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about. Vicki, maybe one day soon we'll be in the same room together.
Hyman out.